Oh yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, today could be the day, and so could Sunday night for your Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 3-1, hosting America's team, sort of. We'll talk about that too, if anybody has questions about that. But this is your show, and this is your opportunity to go ahead and ask the questions, and we'll go ahead and provide the answers the best we can. Before we get started, before I introduce my partner for this evening, thoughts go out to Jeremy Betts, who usually hosts the show. He is off this week, and the reason he is off, he is still cleaning up from the flooding, from the hurricane. He is still without electricity, from what I understand. I know Corey's been checking in on him. I'm going to go ahead and send another message out to him as well. But thoughts and prayers with the Betts family and everybody that has been affected from this hurricane. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go forward. Corey Eckenroth is here. Corey, you're showing up a whole lot in black and gold. We're glad to have you as a part of the team.
Thanks, Bryan. Appreciate the invites. It's been an opportunity for me. Going. I know that Dave's been going through some tough times, and obviously Jeremy as well. So just from me to them, for the rest of the network, just all thoughts, prayers, and love go out to them.
Dave said it best, and Jeremy's reiterated it as well. We have one of the things. Dave just had his mother's funeral today, and he came on, and we didn't expect him to come on, but this is his family here. This is his Steeler family, and it's not just the guys on the screen. It's everybody who supports us. There's people right now in their cars listening to us on Saturday afternoon. And when you're listening, you're a part of our family too. We just can't see your name up on the screen, but we know you're out there. We see the downloads. We appreciate you. And we are all a Steeler family. And I used to call us our BTSC family way back when we were BTSC. You're a Still Curtain Network family. It is, and family takes care of each other. And when we have something like that that goes against our hopes and dreams, and we have a loss or anything, this is a community that just gathers around. We might disagree on whether Mike Tomlin should be fired or not. We might disagree on whether the Steelers need another wide receiver or not. We might disagree on this, and this. But one thing we don't disagree on is how much we love the Pittsburgh Steelers and how much we care for each other. And by taking your time out to talk with us and just sit and listen to us and give us this platform, I mean, gosh, you don't know what you're doing for us. Sometimes when I get on here, it's to escape reality. So thank you so much for being a part of it, for Jeremy, for Dave, for Rich, for all of us. So, Corey, with that being said, I alluded to something. We're going to answer questions. And so I'm asking the live chat right now to get those questions on the screen. You might have your own, but you might be, I'm going to let you ask me a question, but I'm going to give you the question. What the hell were you talking about, Bad, about the so-called America's team? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I do know, and there's much debate about this because Mr. Rooney was first asked that question, wasn't he?
Yes.
And that leads to the whole situation that we're about to talk about because, Mr. Rooney apparently didn't need an extra name for his team because they were going to be so darn good.
Well, did you know what his exact answer was?
It's escaping me right this minute.
We are Pittsburgh's team.
Yeah, we are Pittsburgh's team. We're not. Yeah, that's right.
And then Dallas went in and they
swooped in.
So I call them the sloppy seconds America's team.
That's dirty. That's so dirty.
It wasn't supposed to be dirty.
I love it.
Really wasn't trying to be dirty. I guess
that was great though.
So yeah, that's what I mean by that. So Corey, we'll go ahead and I'm going to wait for some more questions to pop up. We have one from Joseph, but go ahead. You had a question about the tight end situation.
Well, you were alluding to on the previous show just a couple of minutes ago, and I'll catch some other people up in case they weren't able to catch that. But you, Dave, and Jeff were talking about the usage of the tight ends and how you thought that this was going to be the game that the Cowboys were going to against the Cowboys, that the Steelers were going to bust out those tight ends. And I'm hoping that that's actually part of the game plan that Arthur Smith has in place, because I feel that with the reduction of the running backs availability that we have, without Jalen Warren, his availability is up in the air right now. Same thing with Cordero Patterson. We don't know what his availability is right now. So it's going to take some creativity from Arthur Smith. And I think that this is a situation where Connor Hayward might be able to step up, get some extra carries, get some extra receptions. Same with Mount Washington. I think we really need to start seeing him in the passing game more. Last week, we saw what he can do. I think we just need to start distributing the ball to those tight ends more. The whole concept of Arthur Smith's offense to start with was the simple fact that he used his tight ends a lot, so much that we were going to think about having Muth as being our number 2 receiver at some point. So the fact that we haven't used those tight ends as much as we thought we might, the Steelers, it lends itself to a situation where this might be the game where that breaks out.
Very, very good. Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I just think it's necessary. And I think Darnell Washington has a lot better hands that he's being given credit for.
Oh, I mean, with his size, obviously you're going to have to use him as a blocker. I mean, that's just his God-given talent. He's, 6'7", and he's a mountain of a man. So you have to use him as a blocker. That is his primary role, because that is who he is. I think of Michael Duncan Clark in The Green Mile. When you've got a guy that size, he's not playing cornerback. He's going to play offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So you got to put him in a position to succeed. So he's going to block first, obviously, but we are seeing the opportunities that he could have in the future with his good hands. And I'm really hoping that Arthur Smith has got some stuff up his sleeve for later in the season that he's kind of holding back.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Joseph Mislajenovic, and I think I've got that right. But I'm going to go ahead and think that that's right. Joseph, let me know if I pronounced your name right. But I'm going to go with Mislajenovic. Do you think we are 1 year away from being a true Super Bowl contender, being that we have so many new additions that it takes time to gel? I want to go ahead and address that before Corey goes after it. I think with the Devontae Adams rumors, I think that you might be one player away right now to be very close to being a Super Bowl contender right now. The way you stick, if you stick and stay right now and do not make a move, I think you're a year away from being a true Super Bowl contender. But I think that a superstar, if you bring them in, that's a good opportunity to go ahead and say, yes, they are a Super Bowl contender.
I don't see a situation where Justin Fields doesn't continue to progress. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that our starting quarterback hasn't started a game yet this season. For all of the things that Justin Fields is doing, Mike Tomlin is still putting a kibosh on the fact that he's calling him the starter. There's a reason for that. Russell Wilson is still the quarterback of this team, the starting quarterback of this team. So have we even seen the best football from this team yet? If Russell Wilson coming in can provide that much more, that Justin Fields is still our backup and he has still got us at 3-1. Now all of a sudden, the Steelers have the best backup quarterback situation in the league. When you look at this, if Russell Wilson truly plays up to what we consider his potential to be, so this is an interesting dynamic in the quarterback room for sure. So I think in this situation here, what we really need to consider is that the Steelers are going to be able to run the ball a lot in this game. That Jeff alluded to this in the preview show and some of his other podcasts he had throughout the week, that the Dallas Cowboys run defense is absolutely terrible. And I think that with that being the case, this is a situation where not only the tight ends need to do their job, Arthur Smith needs to scheme them open. I'm hoping for some play action seam passes. Like, when's the last time we saw a play action seam pass from the Steelers down the middle of the field? For all that talk about throwing in the middle of the field, that's one play I can't remember the last time I saw. But with that, this might also be an opportunity with the Steelers being down two running backs, with Jalen Warren and with Cordero Patterson both being possibly out for this game. This might be a situation where Arthur Smith starts to scheme up a lot of RPOs for Justin Fields and starts to break open that part of this game that the Steelers haven't really started with yet. The Steelers have done a lot of north south running. And they were finding success with that last week with Cordero Patterson. But I think this game against the Cowboys is where you're really going to start to see Arthur Smith scheme up these RPOs with this defense, with this Dallas defense being as terrible as it is.
I am sorry I disappeared there. I something just went haywire with my computer all of a sudden. So I I apologize. What did I miss?
Not much. Just bringing it back around from what we were discussing earlier to what I'm hoping Arthur Smith's game plan is, against this Dallas defense that Jeff was alluding to. That run defense is really porous, and I'm hoping that Justin Fields can really start to get the RPO game going against this bad defense.
All right, let's bring on our good friend Afton Ford. Will Mount Washington put on his Superman cape again?
I
Now,
hope.
I believe was that Najee calling him Superman?
I think so. I think that's who it was.
And that was what the comments were. I see Afton saying that afterwards. I thought it was great, and I think Najee. I'm wondering if Najee and Mount Washington, they probably knew each other from before in the SEC. But I wonder if they have this hurdling contest going on because they both love to hurdle guys.
Well, Najee being as tall as he is, and Mount Washington, obvious, he's as tall as he is. When you have a corner or a smaller linebacker, getting ready to go at your knees, hurdling doesn't actually look that bad when you're that tall. I'll be straight up honest. I have no idea. Being 5'6", I would be that dude that got hurdled. But
Oh wow!
I would think that in this situation that Mount Washington, when they're approaching somebody at that size, it looks awfully tempting. Why not just jump over them? I can do
I,
that, right?
I'm not used to being taller than anybody, so that's odd. I'm 5'8".
Nice.
Pittsburgh Toddy 86. Why is the play action dead last in average depth of target? That's a great
Ooh,
question.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And yeah, when you dipped out for a second, that was actually one of the things that I had mentioned. Um, what I would love to see is some of the play action, with the tight end game. Where's the tight end seam passes? When's the last time you actually saw a play action tight end seam pass the Steelers ran? I I want to say it's probably been the early 2000s since the last time I saw something like that. It's not a play that they've been able to run. They haven't, especially lately, they haven't been able to establish the run game enough to have a defense commit to make that play actually work. Now that they have that, now that they are actually establishing a run game, establishing their dominance, they are, projecting their will on the line. I think these plays can start to work. And honestly, the depth of target does concern me because it means that your line's not sustaining the blocks long enough. Um, you know, is Justin Fields pulling the trigger too soon? But then again, we've also had three IRs on the offensive line already this year. I mean, we're nowhere near the stud offensive line that we were talking about at the beginning of the season. So we also have to take that into account. Can Mason McCormick do well? I think he can. All the signs are. Can Zach Frazier be an all pro? Boy, that's looking really good already. Man, that guy is really good. But it's going to take some time for these guys to gel because they're rookies, they're young guys. I mean, the average age of this offensive line right now, I couldn't pull that up off the top of my head, but without Isaac Samalu in this lineup, it's got to be in the mid 20s. So with an offensive line with that much inexperience, it's going to take some time to gel.
Broderick's 22. McCormick is probably 22 or 23.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at Frazier being either
22,
21 or
23.
22,
Yeah.
right around there. You're looking at Spencer
Samalu's about to
Anderson.
turn 30. If even if we use him.
And Dan Moore Jr. is probably what, about 26,
26.
27?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I can't do the math, but if I were to do
21,
that,
22, 21. I mean, let's call it 63, 93, and then add 26, 119 divided by 5, 120 divided by 5. Let's call that 20, or yeah, 24. 24 is the average age.
well, yeah, that's a young offensive line.
Yeah, it
Imagine
is.
when they get that going. I've got a question for you, and I'm going to save that until after the break. So let's take a quick break to check on our sponsors here. We'll be back right after this on the Steel Curtain Network. It's the Steelers Q&A with the Steelers Shine in Primetime. Welcome back to the Steelers Q&A. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. He is Corey Eckenroth. He's only 5'6". I'm only 5'8". I tell people I'm 5'9", but I lie sometimes. And you should see my weight on my driver's license. That's another thing. But we are here, and we are looking for the big boys to take on the Cowboys coming up this weekend in primetime. Will the Steelers shine? That is the big question. We are going to be talking about that throughout the night. Please go ahead and get your questions in. We have so many things to talk about. Once again, Jeremy Betts is off this week because he is out of power, but hopefully he will be back next week, and then he'll be probably back. He'll probably be off again in 9 months, because that's what usually happens during blackouts. So actually, if that was inappropriate, I do apologize, but you never know. With that being said, at least if he heard it, he'd at least laugh.
Oh, I know he would have.
So let's go.
I hope he gets to watch this. I know he's going through a lot right now, but I hope he at least gets to watch this and just kind of take a minute from it.
Absolutely. Afton Ford asked, the question is, when will all of our great pieces actually get to share the field at once?
Ooh, is she talking about the Death Star formation? Is that what she's talking about? No, I mean, I'm supposing she's meaning Roman Wilson being on the field as well. Obviously there's offensive line pieces we're going to be missing until next year. I mean, that's just the sad fact of that, unfortunately. But what I think that opportunity does give a lot of these younger players is inexperience that they otherwise would not have gotten just sitting behind somebody else. And then, to be honest, for this Steelers team, that has been a problem for a long time, because the starters have been so good and so healthy for so long that the backups haven't really been able to develop into those all pros and things like that, to where even back into the early 2000s, you used to see the Steelers be able to trade away a lot of guys for comp picks, or be able to, get rid of guys for, to make up a lot of other picks as well. And just that has not happened a lot lately. So the development of those back end players, it's been missing a lot. And this gives the team a good opportunity to really do that right now, especially along an important part of this team with the offensive line.
All right, let's go ahead. And Afton went and did some research for us. McCormick is
Oh,
24.
sweet.
Frazier is 23. Broderick Jones is 23. Anderson is 24. I'm not sure. I'm guessing.
Oh, did we lose him again? All right, so we were talking about the offensive line. Spencer Anderson, 24, 23. So we're looking about. Oh, there he is. He came back.
I don't know what is going on. I just.
We lost him again. All right, so we were talking about Broderick Jones. He said 23. I can't see the comments like he can, so you'll have to let me know. There he is. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm scrolling down to look at the comments, and then it just disappears on me. I think my mouse is touchy today. Afton Ford
Maybe
says,
it's the internet. You can just kind of stand up and hold a pose for a minute, and then your internet will be all right, right?
Dan Moore's 26. So
26. Okay, so we were right about that one. So I mean, for what, 50. I mean, we're still looking around 23 to 24 is the the average age, which that's baby young for the NFL.
And with
I mean,
James Daniels going out.
Yeah.
And James isn't that old. I think he's 28, 29.
Yeah, he's only in his second contract. So I mean, I think he had a 4-year contract for his first, and he got a 3-year with us. So I mean, he's 28, 29. He's one of the older guys, but not much older.
Here's the question, and unfortunately, I think I know the answer to this one. Have we seen the last of James Daniels in Black and Gold?
That is going to depend on how Mason McCormick plays over the rest of the season, taking over his place. Because let's be honest, that's why he was drafted. With James Daniels coming into the last year of his contract, and the Steelers looking forward to what they were going to do with the position, there was hope that a Mason McCormick could step into that kind of role and do the job. And I think the Steelers are more than happy with the investment they made with Mason McCormick into that position and how well he's playing. I Yeah, as long as Mason McCormick doesn't end up with a season long injury towards the end of the season that would prevent him from playing into next year, I don't see why James Daniels would be back at this point unless it was a really team friendly deal. The same could be said with Isaac Samalu. They might be looking at his replacement when they come to the draft this year. With the right guard, they had James Daniels and his contract's coming up. Samalu got the same type of deal. It was a 3-year deal when he first came into the league. So don't be surprised if at the end of this year the Steelers are looking again at a guard position into that, first and second round to take the place of Isaac Samalu if they don't pay him big money to come back.
I really, I really think Samalu is will be back. I just don't expect James Daniels to be back. I
I
expect
don't either.
Mason McCormick to be the guy. I think
Mhm.
this is the start of a very young, very good line, though, and I think they trust these guys a lot. I really think Mike Tomlin, based on his post game press conference, I think he really trusts, as he calls him, Spence, but he trusts Spencer Anderson a whole heck of a lot too. So that, I mean, that's a good thing. They
I've only got one real question along that offensive line into the future, and that is how well is Broderick Jones going to develop? Because if Fa'utanu is going to be your right tackle and he looks good, he looks the part, and God willing, he comes back next season and continues that path. Mason McCormick, he looks like the road grader that we need at that right guard position. Zach Frazier looks like everything that we wanted out of that center position. If Samalu comes back and he's there and he plays that power left guard position, then the left tackle, Broderick Jones was drafted for that position, and right now he is that leak. He's that weak link if you think about it. So, what do they do to help develop him? Because he was drafted young. We all knew that he was going to be raw. How long is it going to take for him to develop into that starting left tackle that we think that he can be?
Yeah, that's the huge question, and we will find out more about that. I think he is showing some signs of brilliance, though, here and there. I thought he had one play very early on in the Colts game that I didn't like, and
Mhm.
then the rest of the game I did not have a problem with Broderick Jones whatsoever. And Mike Tomlin on the post game press conference recap, I mentioned that I heard Mike Tomlin say, "Yeah, he's proud of the way that he rebounded this week."
Yeah.
When his last words from the Chargers press conference, even though it was a win, it's like, "Yep, it says it all," or something like that. So, so more questions. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to try to scroll up and down without losing myself here. So I apologize for that. Um,
Use
let's
the
go.
arrow buttons.
Yeah, they're not working. Something's going crazy, and I don't know exactly what it is. There
you
there was
know,
a question about if I'm going to Vegas this year. I was
mm,
supposed to go. I'm not going to go now. I'm ending
it-
up going to the game this week, but I'm not going to be able to go to the game. I had heard a story, and it was just this week. There's a gentleman that he pays like $4,500 for his season tickets, and just on the Steelers game alone, he's gonna almost quadruple what he pays because
what?
the Steeler fans are paying are paying it. They
Oh my word.
have you ever been to Vegas?
I have not had the good fortune to go there. I would be a danger to myself.
I've been there a lot of times, a lot of bachelor parties there.
I got you.
And I tell you what, we have some stories. Actually do have some stories. If you could imagine, I'm a lot tamer than the bad persona, but when we go to Vegas with my college buddies, my high school buddies, when we go there, it's kind of the movie The Hangover was tame compared to this. the stuff that happens there. If you want some good 2 a.m. stories, I've got them from
Oh,
Vegas, but that's probably not for this show. It's not for the faint of heart. And anyways, it's not for my kids who watch this show too. Uh, t-
NSFW, NSFW.
not suitable for work. Um, Here we go. Thomas Riley, what are the odds of that the Steelers actually get Devontae Adams? You
Mm,
know what? I'm gonna say this. I think it's the Jets. I think the Jets are gonna overpay. I think the Jets will end up giving up a one. The rumor was that they were gonna
mm.
give up a three and another player. The rumor came out today. Of course, I think Filipponi posted it, that someone else put it out there. So you're not always sure what his sources are, but he posted somebody saying that the leak was a the Steelers offered so far a number two and a four next year in 2020. No, it was four in 2026, I believe.
I mean, that could be a comp pick that we recoup.
Yeah, it could be. But when you look at it, uh, there's some twos go back through the years. Mike Adams,
Mhm.
think about the Senquez Golson. Think about the number twos that did not pan
Never
out.
panned out. Yeah.
And I'm one that I don't really think it's going to happen. But if it's not the Jets, Steelers have a good chance. But I'm putting the Jets' chances over 80%. I
If if
I
it's a
think they're going to do
player, if it's a player, when you said that, I already had a person in mind that they would probably be willing to give up. So a second and Alan Lazard,
it. Yeah, I could definitely see somebody like that. That's
because
absolutely.
he's productive in that Jets defense or offense, and if he can go out to Vegas and they can figure out that quarterback situation, um, then I think that they've got a good recoup in that, at least until they can figure out what they want to do to rebuild that position in the draft or in free agency.
I don't think that the Raiders are looking for a quarterback this year unless it's a guy like unless the Falcons go ahead and throw in a guy like Penix Jr. And then they
Oh
turn
wow!
around. The Raiders give them Adams and a number one. You know what I'm saying?
So
That's I
let me
don't
ask you
see it
this:
happening though.
as the resident Raiders fan here, as Jeff likes to pick on you about,
I'm gonna say I'm a the more the Raiders win, the more downloads for Fans First Sports Network. I will tell you that.
it's a win
Um,
everywhere.
but yeah, I do follow them because it's business. But
Sure.
I'm a Fans First Sports Network employee of the Raiders.
Hey, hey, it's all in good natured fun. That's all.
I know, but
but it
black and gold to them, dead and cold, baby.
That's right. I love that one. So in your professional network opinion, with Gardner Minshew, is he your long term guy?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
no, I don't think Aiden O'Connell is as well
I th-
for
I
the
like
Raiders.
Aiden O'Connell. I think he could be a quality backup in
Yeah,
this league. I
I
don't
think
think
he
he's going
can
to be a
too.
starter though. I
Um,
think he could be a high end backup in this league.
I really would have liked to have seen them get a guy like Penix because I think it would have been really intriguing. In fact, they they should have pulled the trigger on Justin Fields.
Ooh,
They
ooh.
really should have,
But
but
I
they
think
didn't.
Penix would have been a better draw coming out of Washington. He had a lot of regional ties to that. Would have brought a lot of people to the seats for sure. Put people in the seats to sell tickets. A better opportunity, a better straightforward path for him to start. I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing for him, though. I think the situation in Atlanta is actually good for him. I
Yeah,
know everybody's shaking their head as to why they drafted him. I could totally see why. I mean, we saw the first game of the season's Kirk Cousins running around on one leg. I mean, he's one hit away from being done for the season. So having a young guy like Penix who can learn is not a bad backup plan.
yeah, and having Gardner Minshew there works, but they don't need a guy like Russell Wilson right now.
No.
That would just that wouldn't help them. What they have that would not improve them right
They
now.
they need a youth movement and they need to continue that. They can't go backwards on that.
But here's the question. Let's take it back to the Steelers. If you were to go ahead and part ways, not give away, give up, because you're not giving up on a guy. Sometimes you have to spend to get.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to
And
spend money to make money. That's the reality of life.
and if you decide that the Steelers would get a guy like Devontae Adams and it would get you far in the playoffs or maybe a ring, would you give up a guy like Nick Herbig if you had to?
I think Nick Herbig is probably our most lucrative trade piece right now. Um, I think that he is a perfect backup to TJ Watt. It's a matter of TJ Watt. If TJ Watt's going to be here for his career, then Nick Herbig is of no use to us because TJ Watt's going to man his spot. Do we need a good backup? Jeremiah Moon's coming back this week, so I mean we have options behind him. He's got a lot of upside. He is showing a ton of the potential that Jeff likes to talk about. So I think that you use Herbig as that trade piece. Could you go after Devonte Adams? Um, if we're talking about Herbig, I don't know that I would feel comfortable giving up more than a fourth rounder and then Herbig. I think
Yeah,
he is that second rounder trade piece.
I understand that. Now look, I'm not looking at the live chat right now because I'm still on the next question. So I'm sure a lot of people are saying, no, you never give away Herbig. But if it's for a ring, it's for a ring. But we don't know if that's going to happen.
But here's one other thing: we actually don't even know what we have in Roman Wilson. Like,
Yeah,
he could be an absolute stud, and we're sitting here talking about giving up future pieces, and we don't even know what he looks like, and he's got a ton of potential, and there's a lot of hope for him as well. So let's not throw him out with the baby with the bathwater type situation.
you definitely don't want to do that because then they come knocking on your door, and that's not a
So
good thing.
there's a lot of great number twos here. Do the Steelers actually need another number one? No, I think they need a competent number two. And I actually mentioned this to Jeff, and I won't get too much into this because it leaks into tomorrow's Let's Ride podcast. But I'll just throw out one name that a lot of people should really think about as a quality number two in this offense: Amari Cooper from the Browns. He'd be a cheap option, and he would fill in that run blocking and possession receiver type situation really well. So don't get so hung up on Devonte Adams. He's a great option, but he may not be the perfect one for the Steelers.
There's Christian Kirk is out there right now. There's DeAndre
Yeah.
Hopkins that's out
Yeah,
there right
Christian
now.
Kirk
Yeah.
is another 6 foot receiver though. Like we have a
Yeah.
ton of those.
Yeah, there are guys out there that they can go ahead and bring in to be a good number two. Pittsburgh.toddy86, assuming that Adams talk is just that. Do the Steelers have enough talent at the wide receiver position? I think you just covered that.
I hope I covered at least some of that. I really do think they do. They've got a ton of options. I just think that Arthur Smith's really got to find a great way to use them all. And we've got a solid number one who can do his job. Let's find out who the solid number two is going to be for the next couple of years.
Afton, she mentioned before, how does a offensive lineman come back from that injury? That's just really tough for, and that's talking about James Daniels. Um, but she also asked, with the youth at offensive line, do they bring in a vet? I think that's, if it were baseball, yes. I don't know if you really can you, Corey?
Well, there is one floating option out there, but what I'll say first is before they decide to sign somebody, there is speculation that Dylan Cook, the offensive tackle, might be able to come back this week. So they may be able to get some back end help on the line to help out. Now, do they bring in somebody else? There was rumors that Zach Banner might be coming back. Do we want to sign that guy? Tackle eligible? I maybe he's got familiarity with the system. I can't
I
say
love
no.
it.
I mean, it could happen. You never know. I mean, if we keep losing offensive linemen there, we may have to. We lose too many more tackles. I don't even want to think because that just means that this season's lost.
That's I absolutely agree with you on that. Um, so sorry, I'm just go ahead and looking through here. That's pretty much
Stay
the
with
last.
us. Stay
Yeah,
with us.
I'm using the arrow. Gosh, that's never happened before. I've done this show a lot. I originated this. No, actually, Dave originated the show. Um,
We need to get you. We need to get you like a gaming router that gives you more bandwidth.
I have Flight, so I have that.
Does that
It's
mean it's
called Flight.
flying away and it's flittering everywhere?
No, it's broadband. It's fiber. I've got fiber.
All right.
Um, so, anyways, do you have any other questions to bring up on this show, my friend?
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I'd ask you who's going to win the game, but that's a given. Um, I mean, the tight end situation, I think that that's a really an untapped part of this offense that they really need to look into, along with that RPO game. Is this Dallas team the opportunity that the Steelers need to really start to open that up, knowing that they're going to have opportunities in against the Dallas defense. If they're missing Demarcus Lawrence, if they're missing Micah Parsons, that's a lot of speed and production in the Dallas, in the back half of the Dallas front seven. Without that speed there, can Justin Fields hit some RPO runs to the outside? Do they start to run an outside wide receiver screen game? We haven't really seen a whole lot of that. Do they start to run a lot of the play action to the tight ends? We haven't seen a lot of tight end play. We've seen some passes, but not like this Arthur Smith offense was supposed to be touted for. So does that start to open up this week? I'm really hoping that they really start to pull some tricks out of the bag, because playing against the Cowboys, the numbers don't really mean anything. These teams always match up well. It's always an exciting game. I went back and looked. Most of these games over the last couple of years have been decided by 5 points or less, and they've been competitive into the last minutes of the game. So it's going to be an exciting game. They put it on prime time. It's the two most iconic franchises in NFL. You know. One thing I did look at right now: the Dallas Cowboys in the all-time season series is 17-16 against the Steelers. But the Steelers own the more important postseason record against the Dallas Cowboys 2-1.
Yep. And I watched all. No, I did not watch all those games on TV. It's a little too young for the first one. One final question here. Brian Brown and I, the two Bryans, we love this question. Does Myles Garrett get a pressure for Collinsworth calling the game? Um, I'm actually going to go off of that now. Because either Dave or Jeff brought up the point that I think Micah Parsons is now the guy that the world wants to win the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
I think
everybody's just pre-crowning him before.
I think
Yeah,
the NFL wants to spread this award around.
of course they do.
I don't think they want. I mean, I don't know why they were stuck on Aaron Donald for all that time
I mean,
when
because Aaron
TJ
Donald
Watt
is a
was there.
beast.
Yeah,
But
he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong; he deserved it. Even Aaron Donald said the last year that TJ Watt deserved it. That last.
here's the thing, though, Brian. Like they might want to spread it around, but that's a problem because TJ Watt continues to wreck games day in, day out, week in, week out, month in. You have to give it to this guy. I mean, like, I don't understand what the hate's about because
That last year was a mess, though. That second half of the season, 2 sacks for Myles Garrett was just an absolute mess.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and Brian Brown asked, "Isn't he hurt?" He is hurt, but he is not out yet for this game. The other guy to mention, Trevon Diggs,
His
is a
feelings
big.
got hurt.
What's that?
His feelings got hurt.
Who's?
Garrett's.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure. So hey, maybe he starts wielding a helmet and then everything's bad. Never
He
forgetting
can
that one.
maybe. I mean, maybe he can. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to go there. I was going to say maybe he can go to Deshaun Watson's masseuse for that. But
John Edborg says this: spreading the award around is a marketing strategy. Yeah, it really is, and I get that, and so that just means that the validity of the award means nothing. But these guys are Hall of Famers.
yeah,
Myles Garrett's a Hall of Famer. He's going to the Hall of Fame. TJ Watt is definitely going to the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
So
The NFL does a good job of trying to make storylines out of this. They do a lot to. I think I wrote during the article during the preseason that the NFL actually has 5 or 6 marketing agents from the television industry who actually make their schedule. So yeah, there's a lot of marketing that goes into the scheduling and everything else. So the NFL is guilty of trying to force situations that create storylines, but the games, they still have to be played and players still have to do their job.
Well, there was a time, and this was just a few years ago, that the schedule used to come out before the draft.
Hmm.
And you would know who, when after the players were drafted. Now they always try to get that rookie game going, that rookie quarterback
Right.
game going, but notice that game's usually late in the year
Yep.
to give them time to seize the starting role or get in the lineup. That's something that they do now. They do this like crazy after the draft to make sure that it happens. They Look, they're smart. And at the end of the day, as long as you have a player like TJ Watt, if he doesn't get the hardware, he there's one piece of hardware that he really cares about.
And that's
S-
the only one that really matters to any of them in there.
So, but I do have I do have a problem with them preordaining a guy, and that's the joke with Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's time to get on out of here. I think that this is going to be a great weekend for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm really excited. I think there's something about that primetime magic. I'd be happier if this game was on Monday night because there's that Monday night magic at home, and those games are actually coming up. The Monday night game is coming up against, ironically, the last team to beat them on Monday Night Football in 1991 at home, the New York Giants. That's coming up in about 2 or 3 weeks. But before that, you've got the Dallas Cowboys. It's a great rivalry. I am so excited for this. Corey, we'll be talking to you about it, and make sure you keep it here to the Steel Curtain Network for all of your Pittsburgh Steelers needs. Any last thoughts, Corey?
Not that I could think of. You got a final prediction on this game?
I think I went 27-26 Steelers, but
27-26.
I'm terrible with that. I really, my predictions don't mean anything.
No,
Um,
I'm thinking that Cowboys, they're not playing well on defense against the run. They like to air it out on offense. It has all the makings of a primetime shootout with two of America's iconic franchises, and I'm guessing for an even more dramatic ending. I'm going with the Steelers over the Cowboys, 33-30 in overtime.
oh wow, that'd be a crazy game, and I'll be there for the fireworks. I can't wait to be in stadium for this game. So
Nice.
for Corey Eckenroth, my name is Brian Anthony Davis. This is the Steel Curtain Network, and as always, just when you think you've got all of the answers, well, you know what? It's simple. We keep changing the questions. We'll see you next week.
Oh, oh, oh.